All right. Well, let's hope that this works. All right. I think we're going again, so we'll just give this a shot. Cool. Audio is good, or is audio great? Hopefully it's great. How about the sync? I know that that's another thing that can mess up from time to time. Because I've tried this before and it did not work. It was like the words were out of sync with the video. So hopefully this will work. All right, I'm going to switch over to my screen capture. Hopefully this works. I see it on my screen here, and then hopefully on YouTube I will even see it. Yep, I see it on YouTube. Now the only thing would be is if it's backwards or not. So if it's backwards, let me know. Otherwise, I will leave it the crap alone. I don't know if I'm going to get doxxed because docked because I said C-R-A-P. Oh, goodness. Okay. So as we were talking about, and I'll just kind of start this back from the beginning here. Okay. So we're zooming into on directional antennas. So the background on this is basically that if you are in a city and your connection was great, or your transmit scale is great, and then as the network has grown, it's slowly grown around you, then your transmit scale is reduced. So here we can see that the transmit scale on this particular hotspot around Oklahoma City is 0.7. And if we go over to the witness, this is the better number to look at, because your transmit scale is one thing, but your earnings are based on those around you. So this transmit scale is 0.55, which is not as great, right? So if this person, they're probably using an omnidirectional, maybe even the stock antenna that came with the Bobcat, and it's probably worth consideration to either change this antenna altogether, or consider elevating it or something like that. Or if, say, the only option in here is that you can't move it, you have your spot, you're going to sit in this position, and you want to optimize. So that's what we're going to talk about here, some different strategies, right? And then to do this, I'm going to mark this thing up like crazy. So let me get into that markup. use this one here. Okay. So there are some options here, right? Because in the center here, all your earnings are going to be junk, or you're not satisfied with them anymore. And even if you get a better omnidirectional antenna, maybe that gets you out to here. And now this isn't bad, especially the ones down on the southern side are going to be, maybe I shouldn't use green. I'll use blue here. Maybe I'll use yellow. There we go. Okay, so here, your transmit scales are going to be better. And maybe I will use green for that. These are going to be the best. And the yellow earnings, well, let's say that these are also going to be junk in here as well. You don't want to be going for those. So your primo spots are going to be here, the edge here, or let's say that this isn't as great, but maybe you could go for here, but then maybe here. All right. So what did I just do? I just marked up this map with potential earnings about directional areas that you'd like to take your directional antenna and then point that sucker at, right? So we're going to gain the ability, because these transmit skills are going to be a little bit better, especially in this one off to the, now let me undo all this here, over to this zone. And honestly, even getting out to all the way here would be great. I don't know if the distance between these 2 points is, oops. The distance between here and out here, if that's 100 kilometers or less in this example. But of course, if you're getting long distances with a directional antenna, then that would be pretty cool as well. Your proof of coverage is a little bit better. So you could try and get out there. At least the only other thing that might be cool is if one of you on this end of this outcropping here, way to the east, would be picking up that signal as well. And that you could talk to each other via directional antennas. So that would be kind of neat. But I would definitely recommend probably to this east here. You could take, and it all depends on, so the rack that I linked to, and I'll have to put it in the chat again here. Stand by while I get that link. Okay, so I put it in the chat there. So the cone on this one is actually pretty wide from my experiments so far. And what it's been doing is it's basically, let's say that I was pointing it directly to the southeast. This is the cone, so south would be somewhere, southeast would be somewhere down here. All right, so the cone basically would be something like this to this. Something like that. Is what I've seen. And I've even seen some refracting about some things from like over here and over here. A couple of times I've seen something way like almost back around, but it's got to be some weird radio thing that's going on. But primarily the direction of this when I set it up is it's pointing this way. And it's getting witnesses from that entire cone or area. So it's actually quite wide, and which is really nice. And then I've also noticed that the nearby fidelity of all this is quite awesome. So let me go back to this and draw that cone again. The primo zone is actually right in here. I mean, it was doing great in here. And then, of course, once you're targeting, these outcroppings are going to be picked up as well. And then you want to think about these zones here. So let me redraw that. So this prime zone in here is where you're going to be targeting if you're going to the southeast. And that's going to get all of these hotspots that are at probably a 1 transmit scale. And you're probably going to be their only witness. So if you're boosting your ability to pick up their beacons, then that's going to improve your earnings as well. So I didn't understand this until I started manipulating. And so my tower has the top part has a pipe that I can just loosen a little bit and then spin around anywhere I want. And it's awesome to be able to try this out and point it in different directions. So let's take that in another example and say, which direction should I probably not do it? And this was my first kind of mistake that I thought, is that my earnings would be better if I got more exposure to more hotspots. And that wasn't necessarily the case. So basically what I'd be thinking here is I'd be looking at density. So either straight to the north here or straight to the south, maybe a southeast, right? So those would be the two things that I would think, oh, that's probably better. And you could experiment with that and see if that works or not. I don't think that it would be. Remember, you're limited now or currently to about between 40 and 50 witnesses, and so you want to pick those 40 or to 50 intelligently, right? If they all have transmit scales that are 0.25, your earnings are going to suck. Whereas if those, are closer to 1, your earnings are going to be better. So that's the key diagnostic and experimenting with directional antennas that I really wanted to get to. Now, let's say that you're on the edge of a suburb, right? So let's go back here. So we were taking a one like you're in city center, but now let's just pretend that you are out. Oh, let's see here. Let's say right here. So at the blue dot, northwest of our center of Oklahoma City. So let's just say that I'm at that, and that I want to get earnings, right? Now I could point it directly to the southeast again and do that, but let's say I don't want to do that. Or I try that, but the earnings, the transmit scales from down here, right? My first indication would be like, oh, I'm going to point that thing to the southeast, and it ends up that it's not that great. What I might recommend trying is bouncing it in some different directions, such as this, right? To the northeast there, because then you're going to be skirting a bunch of hotspots that have higher transmit scales. So that's the whole thing of this, is that you want to find those higher transmit scales and density, and then work into the as much as you can so that you're picking out of that 40 to 50 witnesses that have the highest transmit scales. And I wish there was some optimization. Maybe this is a hint for Hotspotty or something like that. Somebody out there to write a tool that will analyze all the hotspots around you and then show the transmit scales. I think that there is transmit scale stuff. Let me see if this. Oh, I'm I'm marking on the thing here, and that doesn't work. There are ways that I think that actually points it out in the UI. So again, if you're on the edge of the city, you'll definitely want to try those zones. Oops, right here or right here. And honestly, if you're pointing to the southeast, it's going to prefer, if you're pointing this directly to the southeast, you're going to get a cone that is that wide anyways, and that's not going to be good for you. You're going to want to probably point that directly south, because who knows what it's probably going to pull the ones that are closest to you first, which you don't want. Oops, let me use a different color here. You don't want these, because all of these are going to be pretty crap. There, I said it again. They're going to be very poor transmit scales, which aren't going to help you with your earnings. So you want to point that directional antenna, maybe even out to the west here or the north, and then just pick up on the edge of that network and then slowly bring it in either this way if you're pointed at north, this way if you're pointing it to the southwest. And then that will help you get the earnings to dial in to get the highest transmit scales. So is this gaming? Oh, Ed, you're teaching everybody how to game. No, this is legit. You're going after coverage, right? We're building the zones to the coverage. And think about if you know people that are in these areas, then you can start building out here, right? You can start building out here if you know people in that area. And then you're going to increase your earnings. So you get to be kind of like this beacon of hope for people that are on the edges of the network, right? Now, of course, if they're on the outside, say if they're in this little cluster right here, of course, they're going to want to point in. But if none of these hotspots in the inside of the city are doing very well, then it would be in their interest to point towards your hotspot. Okay. So hopefully with this video, I've been able to teach you about directional antennas and like maximizing your earnings using a directional antenna. I hope that helps you. If you like this, make sure to share this and with other people, order that directional antenna, order one. One thing to note is that if you get a Yagi style antenna, so I'm just going to draw on here. So Yagi antenna top view looks like this, right? Now, when you're mounting it on your tower, so from the side view of your tower, let's say your Yagi is pointing in this direction and your tower is right here, right? Now you're going to want the side view to look like this. It's going to look weird. It's going to look like a fence is up in the air, but you want it like this. You do not want it to be a straight line, right? You don't want to mount it in that horizontal position. So to make that visible, you don't want it to look like this, even though it's got the little doodads poking off of it, right? This is bad. Don't do this. Do this. Okay. So that's for Yagi style and directional antennas. The one I linked is more so the not Yagi. I don't know what the technical name of it is, but I was very surprised when I started experimenting with this. So just seeing what way I could get earnings up. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you got any questions on directional antennas, let me know. And shout out to Rack for providing that directional antenna. This is a huge cost. And I was like, I don't know what value this is, but how about you give me one and I can dink around with it for a while and then share my learnings on it. So again, thanks to Rack for providing that antenna, little mini commercial in there. But I think it's warranted, right? That's a pretty spendy directional antenna. All right, let's get back to my face. All right. Thanks for watching that. Hopefully that was educational and informational stuff to get out there, grow the network. I need to take a drink. I'm just drinking soda today. All right, next topic is the PFP. So I did this. I gotta make sure I bring up the right window here. And also that I don't share the wrong thing. How do I do this? Nope. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so this is the NFT that I had made. So last fall, I started getting into NFTs and did this just as an experiment. I didn't want to dive full in, but I just wanted to buy a few and see what it was like doing these. And so there was a contest, and basically kind of had this like slot machine of NFTs that you'd purchase on a shuffle, and then if you collected all of the particular set, then you'd get some custom art. And so this is what I won. So then we started working with the artist, and then they didn't have this idea. They're like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, oh gosh, that's kind of hard. I kind of like helium, so let's do something with helium. And so what we did, as I was like, well, I want to do something with mining, so let's do a pickaxe, but it's, using radio waves, so I don't know, some sort of sonicness to it. And so that's where he got this idea out of. And then of course, actually from my shirt here, if I can, there we go. So we grabbed the logo from there and threw that on there. And this is kind of almost in an Assassin's Creed vibe, like rooftops type of thing. So I like the hood on there and stuff. So this was really neat art that he put together, and of course using my face, but it was still in the pose of like rolling up sleeves, doing up work to kind of honor the work that not only I've done, but like the helium. I mean, like nobody was thinking about how cool rooftops were until this came along. So I did it in two colors, this orange and then this teal color. And that was, so we had this commission, and I've been sitting on this for some newsworthy days, and I feel like with Helium House happening that I could debut this and just kind of show it off. This isn't like, you can't buy an X number of them or anything like that. It'd be cool to get a series, or customized art for everybody to get one of these. Maybe if there'll be helium NFTs one day, I don't know. So this was just cool art that I thought was awesome, and I really liked it myself. And yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to show it off and talk about how awesome helium is. So there it is. That's Friday. Where's the beer? No beer today. I had beer last night, so. Okay, so that takes care of that. Let's go to Helium House. So now they posted their agenda. It's helium.com/house. Pop this out here so we can just look at the agenda here. All right. So Helium House, if you didn't know, is basically the first in-person meetup they've ever had in, like, I guess 3 years, like since pandemic mode. And they had kind of a contest as well in there for a guest of honor. And I thought it was also a way to get a grant to come as well. So I'd like, oh, okay, I'll throw my name in there. But I didn't talk about like my sensor idea, because it's definitely not ready yet. It's not even really, you can't even really call it started. I mean, I tinkered around with it a little bit, but still not written any good amount of code at all. So wasn't ready there, and so I just talked about kind of the things that I had done from the beginning, and so from the beginning of my helium journey. So that's where that's at. But let's go over the schedule here. Tonight they're drinking together, and I'm super bummed that I won't. Technically, I guess I could still make it. I don't know. If you want to send me a bunch of money, I could jump on a 4:00 flight and have potentially beers with everybody by the end. I'd have to be like, hey, who wants to go out drinking some more? So, like and subscribe. Send me your money. Oh boy. Okay. So yeah, they're drinking tonight, and then the actual event is tomorrow. It starts at 9 a.m. and I believe that they're all out of tickets. If you are going and I don't go, you can have my ticket. Yeah, just let me know if you want to go. So they're going to start out with a welcome, and this is Scott. He's the Helium Foundation COO there. And then we got Frank and Amir putting things out at 10 a.m. And I like the State of the People's Network. I feel like I feel like I did that early on when I was talking about when I did like my regular live streams, that I talked about the kind of the state of the network, or at least that's what I wanted to do with it. And then after that, there's a podcast host, and they're just talking together so that's Amir is going to be on the stage for an hour in total. And then we have some use cases, and that's a panel discussion by a bunch of people. Gristle King is one of them, which is awesome. And then there's a book signing from 11 to noon. I assume that that's also lunch time, possibly. Oh, that's going on at the same time. Gotcha. Okay. It's build season, how to get Helium grants. So if you need something like that, then you can, if you need some money to support your development, you can put that in. You go to that. And I should say, this is all going to be broadcast online, so don't feel like your only thing is that you can go to this, like that you physically have to go to it. It's all going to be broadcast online as well, which is awesome. So even though I'm bummed that I can't go physically, I can still attend virtually, but it's just not the same. I want to be able to drink a beer with some of these people that I've been working alongside sort of for years now. So let's see here, Web 3.0 and connected mobility with Goodyear. So I think this was talking about how potential air sensors embedded in tires or something like that. I'm excited to hear about that as well. New internet went from showbiz to reality. So this might be potentially some new bombs might get dropped in these sessions here. A lot of people that we haven't heard for in here. Business discussions. Of course, Frank's in there as well. And then here's chapter 2. So this is going to be the network of networks. I feel like there's going to be a lot of stuff. And then getting into 5G, I think that this is going to be our new stuff that we haven't heard before, which is going to be exciting. And then I believe Joey is actually doing 3 demos in the over the day of like creating sensor work, or at least 3 different sessions himself. So which is pretty cool. So if you're doubting yourself on your dev skills and you want to watch something, he's going to do that within the bounds of a session. So that's pretty awesome that he's going to quick dev it from the very beginning. And yeah, that'll be neat. I'm really interested in this. I used to work at kind of manufacturing place, so I love personally like how hard it is to manufacture stuff. And so I would love to sit in on this and listen to all of these. So Bobcat, Rack, CalChip's going to be there, and Christina as well is going to moderate that, which would be awesome. So up only. So maybe some more bombs dropped at the end, and then networking. So like this is why I want to go again, just to hang out. This isn't like job hunting or anything like that. I mean, there's some definite pluses for just knowing what things are coming, what content I could create on YouTube. But yeah, that's the whole event here, and that goes to Saturday. And I'm sure that they're going to be hanging out for a while as well. So hopefully that has been interesting. I saw a question on talking about directional antennas. Yeah, you're going to want to watch the beginning part. I don't know if his real name is Moby Dick or not. That'd be cool, but it's probably like me. Sometimes I refer to myself as Charlie Tango, but I have no idea. I see another question. How do I get my ISO app to send to HNT? It's been grayed out for months and won't send. I believe I might have a fix for you, but I like huge caveat before I say what I'm about to say. Make sure you have your 12 words backed up, right? Write them down, even if you swear, oh, I put them in that thing over there. I know they're there. Just don't trust yourself. Like, write them down, because if you lose access to that, you're screwed, and that's not a good thing. And also, while I'm saying that, never ever ever give your 12 words out to anybody. Don't enter them into an app except the Helium app or the new Helium wallet app. But the basically the advice that I've gotten is basically delete the app, make sure it clears out the data like a clear cache operation, and then reinstall the app. And you might even want to reboot the phone. I had a problem with that just today, and I uninstalled the app. Like, I backed up my 12 words just in case, and then I uninstalled the app. I rebooted the phone, came back, installed the app again. It actually, for some reason, kept the 12 words in. So I came back into my account. I was like, oh geez, how do I clear the cache again? Because I haven't done it in a while. And so I went in to do the thing that I was trying to do, and then it actually worked. Well, it brought up the interface that I needed, because one bug I've noticed is that the fee to send HNT, if it's 0, it's messed up. You need to go through that process again. And so that's what I was seeing. So I said, nope, I got to reset this. And so that's what it ended up doing. And I was able to actually proceed a little bit farther in my process. So good luck with that. Hopefully it works. Let's see here. What other things can I think about or talk about? One of the other things I talked about in a separate video actually was how to get a flatline hotspot back up. And at least with Rack, I've had luck in flashing the SD card again, or getting a new SD card, and then letting it sit there. Like, once I installed it, turn it on, and then just leave it alone for at least an hour. And it's been mining since. Like, it was completely flatline, couldn't connect to it or anything. And it didn't work. Now, another instance I had since the light hotspot upgrade was with Nebra. And the Nebra, let's see here, the Nebra, I still have it. It basically was going into an infinite reboot, like completely infinitely. I wonder if I could even show it. Let's see here. Maybe I can't right now. I don't have power. Oh, I know what I needed. Oh, I don't have it right now. Anyways, so it would just blink on. Like, I even took the top off and watched the lights blink, and it would turn on, and then do some network communication, and then just turn off. It was like maybe 30 seconds. They're like, can you send us a reboot video? Because I sent it into support. Or contacted support, and they said, can you send us a video? And so I was like, okay. And so it was like 30 seconds video, and I was like, it just does this over and over. There was no sense, because they wanted it for at least for a minute, and I was like, there's no sense in this, because this is all it does. So it just kept resetting. And so basically I sent them all that information, and they said, you need a new chip. So actually, that part I can show you. So let's see here. Get you guys zoomed in on there. So this is that chip right there, and this is like what would be an SD card, and you can just pull it out and push it back in. And I guess they need to send me a new one of those. I don't know why, but they are. So they said it would be shipped out yesterday. So at least for the support on Nebra side, at least from what I experienced, is that it went well. I didn't really have any problems. It was fine. Now, my other problem hotspot, where is it? Is my Bobcat. And this is absolutely nothing against Bobcat. It's all on me. So they sent me this over a year ago, and my fault. I assembled the enclosure wrong and got water in the enclosure. And so I've cleaned it up a little bit, but let's see here. Get you looking at that a little bit more here. Sorry, keep floating around. So that's it's just a little bit dirty. But when it fires up, the LED is at the top here, and all it does is it blinks on. It looks like it's working, and then it's like it slowly dies. It just gets a little less and less power, and then it just dies off. And so I contacted support, and they're like, "Well, you're out of warranty already, and you did this to yourself, so probably no." And I was like, I understand. I was like, are you interested from an engineering perspective about what failed at all? And they basically weren't interested. Although I did talk to Joey, and he's like, yeah, save that sucker. I'd love to take a look at it. And so yeah, if I ended up going up to Helium House, I was gonna bring this along and hand it off to him, be like, dude, can you fix my hotspot? Okay. Let's go through the questions. What are your thoughts about the big updates? Do you think all our miners will still earn enough? Oh, that's a big question. What are my thoughts about the big update? Light hotspots, obviously. Well, you know what? Let's go back to the dashboard. Dashboard. Let's just take a look at some of these metrics here. All right, so if you weren't aware, dashboard.helium.com takes you to this Grafana dashboard. I believe Grafana is open source. I'm pretty sure it is. And basically just these are all the things, right? Here's the block height. So if you are syncing with your miner and you're trying to get the block height, if it's not this number, you aren't synced, right? And syncing is still in, and something that is still happening until otherwise, right? Average block time, this is basically just how long it takes to process a block on the blockchain. And what else? Snapshot time tells you when snapshots were created, I guess. Election times. So these are, if I remember right, and correct me if I'm wrong here in the comments, but an election time is basically, if you remember when we were back in consensus time, right? Oh man, those were the days. I used to complain, I was only in consensus for like 15 minutes and ended up getting 70 HNT or something like that. Oh man, I want to kick myself now, but that's the way it is. Okay, so basically it would elect randomly selecting validators, I believe, and then having them agree on the status of the blockchain. So that is that election time is as it's coming down. That's a good thing. That means that in my mind that the network is acting a little bit better. The validators are agreeing with each other a little bit more, and so that's good that they can elect faster. Transaction rates, you can see some weird behavior in here. I'm not sure all of what this does, but then the fact that POC rates changed in here as well. I'm guessing that these were some small tests to see if it was working. If it didn't work, if the network started sucking really bad, then they would pull it. So 2 small tests, and this is just in the last 12 hours to get a sense on the last and this is gonna probably take a bit. So if I go to last 30 days, these things are gonna have to take a little bit to update, but then you can actually see what happened in the time since the light hotspots upgrade. And while that's chugging away, yeah, witness counts is like, okay, what are our witness counts? Min, max, average. You can see the transaction rate here. Election times, this was really bad. This is, again, in the last 30 days. This was easier data to pull, so that's why it showed it. And you can see the improvement there. Geez, 520, like it was really peaking out. And then since then has come down and at least stabilize. So the network is stabilizing. That's a good thing. and small incremental improvements, right? Average block time, we definitely don't want those blocks because that's basically the blockchain stalls, and then you have a huge problem. So no stalls from there. And I believe that this red part is alerting criteria, so that there would be like phones going off if this happens, type of thing. I'm not saying that that's what happens, but usually in these dashboards, that's what's happening. Okay, so here's our POC rate. So the goal, I believe, is 800, and so we're nowhere near that. You can see a couple tests went up here, but nowhere near that. And at least even farther back in this is that after light hotspots were launched, the network just went really poor. And since then, multiple tests have happened. And you can see here that it's still, that didn't work. And every time that it seems like they do these tests and they were really testing, they probably didn't know the answer in here. And so they would just get the same answer time and time again, whatever they changed. And that really stinks. So then they try some other things. Oh, okay. Well, does it work if we move this back because it shouldn't be there? Oh, no, that didn't work. So then more thinking, right? And I don't know the story, but this is just what I'm, at least being in this business, what I've seen is that, there's still some tests, right? Some things are still failing. And I know that one of the things is like, especially with that, the SD cards is if they don't have the memory to perform the operations, the block time, process these large blocks that are coming through as the network is upgrading, then it can be really difficult. That will elongate block times and stuff. And so that's really kind of, it would behoove us as hotspot owners to check up on our hotspots, see how they're doing, right? If their earnings aren't so great, maybe it's time to get out there and take a look at the SD card and flash it, throw another one on there just to see if it helps. Now, since I did resurrect one hotspot, it was doing pretty well. It was regularly mining, and then since last couple weeks, it's probably slowed down just a little bit, but I'd say earnings are probably about the same, and that's probably par for the course, at least from what Amir was on the Discord a lot this week, and at least the vibe that I got was like things are slowly improving, but yeah, it's still a little problematic. Obviously, we're not back up to that 800 POC rate yet. So I think one of the things in there that they're really hoping is that the software that the light hotspots are running on is changing language. I believe it's going from what is the programming language? Somebody help me out here. I'm going to go back to the Erlang. There we go, Erlang. Erlang is the primary language that's used for hotspots, but it's going to be changing to Rust. And so once they get that, it's going to be able to work better. So it might free up some resources. And I think that that's going to help as well as far as network performance. And I believe the date on that from, and it's cool, you can go on the Discord and actually see the chatter from the devs. I love that they're able to be transparent about what they're thinking, and I like that part. So totally recommend you take a look in there, take a peek in there, and see what they're talking about. So I believe it was June 26th was the target for Rust implementation. And yeah, as it said, as there's comments in the chat that there's more developers out there for working in Rust than on Erlang. And of course you'd ask, well, why did they choose Erlang in the first place? I don't remember that one. I don't. So it's just what it is. I don't know. If somebody has that answer, I'd be interested in it. I also see some, before I go on, I'll answer the second part of that question. Do you think all our miners will still earn enough? So that's a tough question because POC earnings, and this is something that people don't understand, is like, I used to earn so much and now I don't. Why? The network sucks, or something like that, when really like that was coded in, right? It's like a piece of pizza, right? As you invite more friends to your party, the slices of like the slice size available to them gets smaller and smaller. Or if like, you know, more people show up halfway through the party and only half, like, let's see here, if double the number invited show up to the party halfway through the party and only half of the pizza is left, now you're slicing that even smaller. So yes, POC earnings are going to continue to go down. And so this is I'm so glad I got data only hotspot. Thank you, SenseCap. I'm going to give them a shout out as well for testing. And I'm actually doing testing with that right now, and I'm so surprised. I mean, living in the city, how frequently that thing is picking up data. And the cool thing is it does not affect your POC. You don't get any POC earnings. It's all on data. And even being in a city, it's regularly getting rewards from it. So what I'm super interested in is some sort of data on that. And I know that there's charts out there. I've seen them about these continual earnings, and there's a lot of fluctuation in them. And there was concerns about, oh, well, geez, are they cutting? Are they just turning them off, or what? What's going on? Why are they getting? Why is there so much volatility? And that hasn't really been answered yet. But if we start having this as an average earnings, right? You think that the average POC earnings on a hotspot will go down. However, the average earnings of data only transfers should continually go up as sensors come on boarded. And so that's where it's supposed to be, right? And if you're kind of gamifying the deployment of a network, then that's where it's going to be. So if you're looking at, what things should I buy a data only hotspot right now? Well, they're about, I think, between $100 and $200 right now, depending on the manufacturer. So it is cheaper. As for what's the ROI on that? Of course, like token price is involved. And I can't tell you, I haven't been using my data only hotspot long enough to know what it is. And it would be highly dependent around the number of sensors in your area and how frequent those are putting out data. And so that's why it keeps looping back around to, we need more sensors on the network. We're really going to support sensor development, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that clears up some earnings. I think it's still a great thing. Obviously, it's your to invest in and get mining in. We've got to work out those kinks in the system and see where they're at. And of course, there's 5G is kind of hanging out there too, which the word, hopefully we'll hear something tomorrow out of Helium House, is that there will be POC earnings from 5G. So there's a roadmap released as well for that. All right, looking down for any more questions here. I did see a comment about what to do with miners if you're done with. I think to me, the comment was more to me, is like, if you have broke hotspots, what do you do with them? Don't throw them away. So AP is on the Discord. Helps out a lot, and he's very interested in accumulating those hotspots so they don't get thrown in the trash, that they're actually recycled somehow. So I don't know if you would work on fixing them or what it would come down to. But he's over in the UK, so maybe it's more for EU UK people to send it over there. But maybe there's something that can be done here in the US as well for recycling. I think that's a great thing to invest in. So yeah. Why would anyone choose a data only hotspot, right? So I talked about that a little bit, is that there's no POC earnings, which is for better or for worse. That is a thing. So it does earn less, but it also doesn't affect your transmit scale, so that you can actually test. If you don't want to, how do I say this? if you have a miner at a location and that full miner does POC and gets data transfer rewards, but then you want to experiment with different antennas, then you could add a data only hotspot in there. It would not affect your transmit scale at all. And then you could see which one is getting more data transfer rewards off of that. And then you'd be able to infer from your antenna type which one would be actually better, so that you could actually, if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm now getting so much more data transfer from this different antenna, that I might want to switch them for a bit and then do some comparison there. Because if your rewards are better, I mean, it's still saying that there's more sensors, right? Sensor data transfer doesn't equate POC earnings, but it might lead to something that says, oh, maybe I could change that antenna out or swap them and see if that actually I could earn more POC rewards with that different antenna versus the current antenna. And yes, they are cheaper to buy. I'll buy a little bit. I believe there was also another gateway company that came out, a manufacturer, that they're boasting, I think, like a $199 price point, and I think it was still a full gateway. So they caused a little bit of waves in the community. So it's a good time. Now I think miner prices are coming down. We're already seeing full gateways get discounted. There is this other kind of incentive that maybe it's a little bit more worth it to still buy a full gateway, because then they can do dual mining. So the topic on that is, or what's been thrown out, is that you can potentially do, I think it was like basically a VPN through these, and then you'd be able to mine. And so I don't know exactly what that would look like, or how filled out it is, how mature it is in that, but that's the idea, is that you'd be able to earn multiple kinds of tokens, HNT and also other things, right? Or like speeding forward now that HIP 51, and if the other ones pass as well, then you'd earn IoT, and then potentially this, whatever the VPN token is as well. So that would be in there. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions. I did see a lot of chatter about HIP 51. So if you don't remember, HIP 51 actually passed this week, and it was approved. And there's been a lot of debate about, well, geez, it didn't matter anyways. So if you think it was unfair voting, you definitely want to check out another HIP, and let me get the number to you. And I've been debating in that as well about the implementation. So it's entity-based voting or something like that. Let me get you a number here. Oh, shoot. I am not finding it right now. Why have I not found it? Yeah, for some reason I can't find it. I don't know why I can't right now, but it is like entity-based something. So it's basically like one vote per hotspot or something like that, was the initial idea. And if somebody knows it, maybe they can just throw it in the chat. So that would be an alternative way to think about voting. So if you're interested in that, again, it's a decentralized network, so we can vote differently. And so creating the fairest system to vote in is a thing that a lot of people are interested in. I know even some of the investors are still like, their intention is really to design a very well-governed system. Like that's their goal. Like that's their conundrum that they want to solve. HIP 60, thank you. Why is it hidden on my... I don't know why, but it's hidden in Discord for me right now. I have no idea why. I know I was chatting earlier today on it on my phone, so maybe it was just something I'll have to investigate. So weird. Discord's being funky today. All right, so we are 55 minutes. I didn't think that this one would last this long, but I had just various topics. I'll throw out one more. Any more questions, AMA style or whatever? Again, we talked about directional antennas, the NFT, PFP, and then we went through Helium House's stuff. If you're local in Austin, I'm super jealous, and I wish I was there. I could still go. I got like 2 hours to get a ticket and get on there, but of course, cash is the problem there. Don't want to part with my tokens. I would love to hang out with people, and also I don't want to part with my tokens. So that is the conundrum there. Sensor manufacturer who doesn't have HNT should have a vote too. So this is the other side of the argument, is that you can buy HNT and then you can vote with it, but then of course it's still balanced based voting, right, of having a wallet and having some HNT. And so how viable is that for them? So yeah, that's an interesting thought. So yeah, go check it out. There's some interesting ideas in there for sure, and still more to improve. And it takes conversation to get things through and work them out, right? Looking for any more questions? Super excited for all the things coming out for Helium House. I'll probably do a live stream maybe on Sunday or something like that to like give myself some time to absorb all the things that were announced there, and then go and then like talk about them. Be like, hey, what did you get? What did you get? I think that would be awesome to have a post State of the Network after we know all the things. I've already seen some speculation and probably hype around token price come Monday, so that'll be interesting to watch. Yeah, if you didn't notice in the Discord, there's been a lot of FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, that basically is like, and we talked about it at the State of the Network too, with Gristle King and the other members of the crew on there, Max and Neil and I think one other person, I can't remember their name, and it went really well. It's just, there's people that are comment on there, Helium's a rug, and so maybe the only cautionary thing I'd say is like, have some healthy speculation as to when people are saying that, is that it could be that they just want you to sell your tokens so that they can buy them, right? If they really believe in the project and they want to they want to get your tokens away from you, then that would, and they want to do it nefariously, right? If I wanted to get your tokens, I would tell you, oh, Helium sucks. Like, sell all your tokens while you can. All that kind of stuff. It's a rug, right? And then of course on the backside, I'm like putting in my orders at all the price points and like just laughing because I get to take your tokens away from you, right? And so you notice that a lot of these are on kind of more anonymous accounts. They aren't from people who are, very well established people, right? I feel like even if I was like, hey, Helium's not looking so good, I would like share that and be like, I really care about this. Like, here's what we could do, or here's what I believe we should do, right? Now if I believe that it was still going south and I'm like, oh man, this sucks. I thought it was going to be good, and I don't know. I think it's probably time, right, to start moving on to another project. Like if I felt that as well, like I'd still probably share that. But again, it's like you make your own decision, right? Don't let somebody like put fear into you and override like the knowledge that's in your head. That's just not good. So do your research on these accounts that are posting these comments, either way, if you're going to do a buy or sell decision, because if they're not well established, and even if they are well established, maybe you could still second guess them. But if they aren't well established, it's very easy to fire up an account. And I know that some people do this, like even on mine, they'll fire up an anonymous account and then come in on my channel and put out some comments, good or bad, right? Because some of it's good, right? Like, hey, Ed, your microphone sucks. That'd probably be good, to hear from anybody, and it's not so bad. But if it's somebody I recognize and they're like, hey, Ed, your microphone sucks, if I don't know that they care about me, or if I respect their opinion and they say that, I'm like, oh, I'm so sad, right? So just do your research on those accounts that are making those comments, because that's no bueno when the anonymous people come in to try and manipulate you. Tell them to go away. You're more intelligent than that. Do better, as one of my friends says. Let's see here. Somebody says, I just put an order for 7 5 dBi omnidirectional rack antennas. I feel like I made a mistake now. Should have gotten that 12 dBi that you suggested. You know what? You're never going to go wrong with the 5 dBi. That's a very good antenna to experiment with, and just get that omnidirectional stuff. And what I would recommend is, like, don't go out and buy 5 12 dBis, because that would be very, very expensive. And while I would love the referral bonus, just get one, right? Or even borrow one from somebody to do some testing to make sure that it's good. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Whew. Hey, I could talk about this. This is the WIO terminal. Ooh, getting a little crazy here. The WIO terminal. This is something that you can buy from Seed Studio, and there's actually 2 parts to this. And I'm actually using the Bobcat antenna with this, because, and now I gotta look at my little chart here. Let me go grab it. Because I didn't notice this at first. So this is my handy dandy chart. I always keep this around because it's very, very important to look at this and get your connector types straight, right? So I'm just gonna bring this like even more closer. There we go. All right. So now that you've all seen that, now I want to compare this with what it is. All right. So if I hold this up. There we go. So it's a female, and it's got the kind of the import. It's not a pin. So what that tells me is that it is an SMA female, not an RPSMA female. And shout out to Seed for providing me this as well. I think I just had to pay for the shipping on it. But this is really awesome. Let me connect it back up, and then I can show you at least a little bit of it in operation. I still have to like you could dox my location on this, so there's some stuff that I can't show you that I'd love to show you. But I did some mapping with this recently, and it was really cool. I even climbed up on the tower and did some measurements from there. But yeah, big note on that is that it's SMA female, and I'm not sure if that's if it should be RPSMA because it's coming into the US. So I'll probably reach back out to Seed on that. So it just does this scanning, and you can set it to beacon like manually every minute, every 5 minutes, whatever you'd like to do. And it does cost DC because it does the mapping as well, but it sends data. And so let me just show that. And it doesn't do a great job of being legible. And of course, I can't share the screen on this, but this thing is a really cool thing. Is that you'd be able to test your reception from wherever you're at. So, totally would recommend getting one of those. And they're now loading this with firmware that makes it the official like Helium. Like there is even a Helium logo on there. I don't know if I can do this while it starts up. I gotta definitely cover up one portion of the screen here while it boots up. There we go. So it does give a little Helium logo as it boots up. So the portion that it shows when you boot it up is that it gives you the device identifier, and with that you could browse to various websites, and they could give you information on what the mapping data is. And there's some really cool websites out there that show that information. And of course, in addition to doing mapping for you, which is awesome, and that's great to contribute and help find those spoofers, because if you drive by and they don't sense your awesome setup coming from your antenna, then perhaps they're spoofing. So, and that's always good information to attach along if you're submitting to the deny list as well. So, yeah, a couple extra things to go through. I'm glad I remembered that WIO terminal. I've probably got that's probably all the things that are on my list of things I could talk about. Again, thanks for watching. If you got any more questions, you can definitely hit me up on Discord. I believe the link is, you can find me on Helium Discord. It's just EdB Charlie Tango. And if you look for that, you can usually find comments. These days, I'm hanging out in the general channel of Discord a little bit, of Helium Discord a little bit more. Yeah, so hope you've enjoyed the show. Again, would appreciate you liking and subscribing this video, doing all those YouTube things, also sharing it with others. Hopefully they find that antenna portion really valuable, and at least get one directional antenna to buy or experiment with, or even to reach out to somebody else and borrow theirs for a little bit. So thanks again for watching, and y'all have a great one. I'm excited to find out all the things tomorrow. So y'all take care, and Carpe Tempestus.